Hello my lovely bookish friends, and welcome back to another video, and welcome to my summer recommendation video. Honestly, this video is kind of a bit belated as I realise I really don't read summer books. I don't tend to read the traditional sort of beach reads, and so I was really struggling to come up with a list of books that I would consider sort of summery books. However, I have thrown something together which is a sort of a mix of summer vibes and, you know, sea-based and just those kind of feel-good books that put you in a good mood, which I think is what summer is all about. So let us get to the books. First up, we have Kiki's Delivery Service. This follows Kiki, who is a young witch who has just turned 13, and in the world of the novel, when a witch turns 13, they're required as a rite of passage to move to a new town and set up as a witch there, which she does. For those of you who like Studio Ghibli movies, then I'm sure you're already familiar with this story. It is set by the seaside and it's just a wonderful, cute, middle grade fantasy story. It's a nice, easy read and it's just perfect if you fancy a bit of magical fun this summer. Up next is one of my favourite childhood series, and it is Secrets of the Sirens, which is the first book in the Companions Quartet. It follows Connie, who goes to live with her aunt by the sea, only to end up getting wrapped up in a mysterious society which protects mythical creatures. I used to read this series every summer growing up. It was one of my favourites. I'd sit in the garden with my MP3 player listening to S Club 7, Steps and Evanescence, a weird mix I know, and read these books. So to me these books feel very summery. They're also set by the seaside, so perhaps that also plays a part in it. And I just love this series and I just can't recommend it enough. Up next is the book that is just perfect for summer vibes, and it is A Sky Painted Gold. This is set in the 1920s and follows Lou, who ends up getting mixed up with this rich pair of siblings when they move into town, and sort of gets caught up in a world very different from her own. This book doesn't actually have much in terms of plot. It is a middle grade, low YA book, and there just really isn't much in terms of plot, and it's also quite short, but for summer and 1920s aesthetic and vibes, this book has it all. So if you're really just looking for a book that will just get you in the mood for summer, this is definitely the one to read. Next up is a book that I've mentioned many times on this channel, and it is Howl's Moving Castle. This tells the story of Sophie Hatter, who catches the unwelcome attention of the Witch of the Waste and is turned into an old woman. Deciding she has nothing more to lose, Sophie makes her way to the moving castle that hovers on the hills around her town. The castle belongs to the dreaded wizard Howl, whose appetite, they say, is only satisfied by the souls of young girls. Like Kiki, this is also a Studio Ghibli movie, and there's just something about those movies and the books that they come from that just feels summery. And this is just pure whimsical magical fun. It is easy and it just always puts me in a good mood, and reading this and watching the movie just on a sunny day, that just sounds like a perfect day in summer for me. Up next we have The Girl Who Fell Beneath the Sea. This is a retelling of a Korean legend and follows Minna, who takes the place of her brother's beloved and sacrifices herself to become the bride of the sleeping sea god. The sea is obviously a big factor in this book, and it's kind of the main reason I consider this a summer read. I absolutely love this book. It's like Spirited Away meets a Korean drama, two of my favourite things in one. It is an easy, fun, magical read. It's very YA and the love story moves a bit quickly, but I loved it, and sometimes that's just what you need. The next book I am including purely because it is set in the desert, where it is hot and summer is hot. I was really struggling to find books to include in this list, okay, and it was starting to look a little bit like one of my other recommendation videos, so I was just wanting to put something in here that I know I've not recommended before, and you know, desert, hot, summer, that's the link anyway. So this is Rebel of the Sands, and it follows Amani, I might be saying her name wrong, sorry about that, who lives in this boring town where she just really wants to get out of it, and one day this foreign mysterious stranger turns up and she ends up getting dragged into this rebellion and into all things a bit magical too. That's the very basic synopsis, but the blurb doesn't actually go into much more detail anyway, so I didn't really want to spoil anything. This is a YA fantasy trilogy with magic, adventure, gunfights, it has it all. I really enjoyed this series when I read it. Particularly there is a scene in the third book that is absolutely just, it really blew my mind, and it took my ratings for the whole series just up a star. It was amazing. But as fun as it was, there is a lot of sort of teenage angst in this, and you do spend a bit of time wishing that our main couple would communicate a little bit better, but otherwise it's a really good fun read. On to a classic, and we have Jane Austen's Emma. This follows Emma, who is a self-professed matchmaker, and the trouble that shakes up her life and her heart when two old acquaintances re-enter her neighbourhood. I love this book. Knightley is one of my favourite Austen heroes. He's just a wonderful guy, and the back and forth between him and Emma it's just lovely to read. Like all of Austen's books, the events actually kind of go across the year. However, there's just something about this one, perhaps because they go on picnics, that makes me think of summer, so I always end up reading it this season. 2 for the price of 1 for this. You have a light novel and a manga. Both of them are the book versions of the film Your Name. However, the novel in particular does a great job expanding our understanding of some of the events in the movie, so if you've seen it, it's still worth the read. Giving nothing away, this story follows 2 high school students, a boy from the city and a girl from the countryside, who begin to swap bodies. And that is all I'm going to tell you. I watched this for the first time in summer, and the styling of the film made me feel like it was sort of set in this season. Either way, it's amazing, and you should watch the film and read the books. We'll say that the last 30 minutes, is perhaps one of the most intense things I've ever watched, but it is incredible, and I highly recommend giving it a watch and a read. Next, we have my version of a beach read, and it is The Paper Magician. This follows our main girl, who ends up in this magical apprenticeship that she doesn't really want, and whilst there, her master, Emily Thane, gets almost fatally wounded, and she has to try and save him, and that's sort of the main plot of the first book. I love this trilogy. It's just so easy, whimsical and magical. Emery is just a gem, and there's a really sweet romance that goes over the course of the books as well, and it's just delightful. And to me, these type of easy magical reads are what I like to read this time of year. This is my kind of version of a beach read. Finally, we have The House on the Cerulean Sea by T.J. Klune. This follows Linus Baker, who lives a quiet life monitoring magical orphans for the department in charge of magical youth. One day he's given this highly classified assignment to travel to this orphanage where 6 dangerous children reside and decide if it's up to standard. But once there, Linus finds out that there's more to these children than the paperwork show, and he finds himself growing closer to their charming guardian, Arthur. This book is just adorable, and it is set by the sea, which makes it a summer read in my book. It is beautifully written, and it's also nice to see a book that has characters in their 40s that are not your typical main characters, and seeing them really grow. It shows you that it's never too late to follow your dreams, and that your life can lead you to dreams that you may not have even considered, and it's just cute and wholesome, and it's just perfect for summer. And there we have it. That is my summer recommendation video. I really hope that you do find something on there that puts you in the summery mood. Like I said at the beginning, I really did struggle putting this list together, as I am definitely more of an autumn girl. I am full, my bookshelf is just full of autumn books, but I just don't read that many sort of summery beach reads. I really should try and find some more books. So if you have any recommendations for me that are kind of similar to the ones you've seen in this video, please comment them down below, because I am very much in need of some more summer reads. And that brings us to the end of this video. I really hope you enjoyed it. If you did, please consider liking and subscribing, as I do have a lot more bookish content to come. So until next time, my lovely bookish friends, bye!